This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Welcome back to another edition of Hometown Heroes on Family Life. I'm Mark Webster, and this week's guest is Pastor Pat Hilkey of Evangel Assembly of God Church in Williamsville, New York, who has made not one but two 3,000-mile cross-country bike trips, the first 8 years ago, the second just concluded, and for very different reasons.
I did it 8 years ago for a sabbatical to get away from church ministry. I was a little broken. I needed some healing. I just didn't know how to get away. When I'm on a bicycle, I can be alone. And 8 years ago, I needed to be alone. I needed to heal. I needed to learn to forgive some people that hurt me in the ministry and just different things like that. This time, I was 54 at that time. I'm 62 now. I didn't feel that need to be alone, but I feel like, you know what? I'm coming towards the end of ministry. I wanted to do some things that are impactful. Part of the purpose of doing this was so I could be alone to better prepare myself for God's future that he has as a pastor. And the second thing, as I thought, you know, this would be a great way to maybe get people to sponsor me by the mile to help pay down the mortgage. Because part of my goal as a leader is to see everything that I started in this church would all be finished. So I thought, you know what, let's see if we can get people to sponsor us by the mile. So that's what I did.
What was the congregation's reaction when you came up with this?
It's sort of funny. The last time I did it, they didn't quite understand, you know, a sabbatical and the need to get away from this. Many pastors don't take care of themselves, and I was one of them. This time, it seems like the church really embraced it. Their biggest concern was they remember how hard it was the last time I did it. It was very difficult. I mean, I didn't even know if I was going to make it a couple of times, especially when I was in the Mojave Desert. So their question was, why would you do this again? And I just felt like, you know what? It's just the right thing for me. It's who I am. And I felt like that this time I knew what I was getting into. I knew the difficulties, but what I didn't know the last time was how to deal with difficulties, desert, dehydration, sweating. I was drinking tons of water, but I wasn't using electrolytes. This time I had a better plan for electrolyte plans. I had better plans for food in the desert, what I was going to carry with me. The last time I had all kinds of physical problems. This time I didn't have any physical issues other than it was still hot, you know. It was 107 in the desert. When I was in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi, Georgia, it was 100 degrees every day with humidity. I was better prepared for it mentally. I try to explain to people it really isn't about the physical as much as it is about the mental victories. And this time I was ready for all those things mentally, and I had prepared better physically with what I was carrying with me. As I learned the last time, it's what you don't know that affects you. It's not what you know. And I think as a believer, it's what we don't know is what's affecting us, not what we know.
Listening to your story, though, I can't help but flash back to watching the Ten Commandments, Moses going out in the desert and going through and sort of purging your first trip when you were just trying to kind of get away and purge your mind in a way. Any parallels that you draw from that?
100%. We don't know the difficulties of a desert until you're there. It is so barren, it is so dry, and it's so empty. I had no idea, like, what's the nation of Israel? You know, it's like when you look at their complaining, you know, I understand why they complain now. But at the same time, you know, Moses knew the source. They didn't. I really did understand the source this time. You know, being alone, you're so dependent upon God. It just makes you stronger. The last time, I think I had to learn that. Mm-hmm. The last time, I was physically stronger, but I wasn't mentally as strong. And I don't think I understood God as well as I did this time. It actually became a mission trip without me knowing. The last time, I remember telling God, I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to be alone, God. I just need to be alone. And that was like that for like 1,000 miles. And then God had provided through people drinks that I didn't have anymore, food. And then I finally told God, I said, all right, God, I'm ready to give back since you gave so much to me. This time, I really went there thinking, I'm ready to give the whole time I'm out. And I tell you, I probably prayed with probably 75 to 100 people. I have people that are contacting me that I prayed with. It's really neat. One guy called me and he said, you know, because my wife and I we weren't in a good place. But after you prayed with us, he goes, things have changed and now we're on track again. I thought, wow, is that neat, God? You know, thank you.
When you go through something like that, where it just kind of pares everything down, doesn't it?
Exactly. You know, you and I and all those believers out here, we have the most important thing in life. We start thinking our generation, people don't want to hear what we have. I tell you, I was so surprised. Every person except for one that I asked, can I pray with you, said yes. There's a hunger out there. A lot of people is open to what we have to say about Christ. It seems like we have such a divide in our world, but there's a lot of hungry people for the gospel right now. I was overwhelmed. I was thankful, and I'm so excited that I did this because I believe I made a difference in people's lives. Besides making a difference in my own, I feel like I made a difference in people's lives this time with all the encounters that I had. It was really cool.
That's Pastor Pat Hilkey of Evangel Assembly of God Church in Williamsville, New York. Veteran of 2 3,000-mile cross-country bicycle rides, the most recent a combination mission trip and church fundraiser. Please join us again next week as we search for your home, your town, your hero. It's Hometown Heroes on Family Life.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.